Hello, before starting this video I'm gonna say just a couple of quick things. If you don't know, I am currently running an ARG, that's an alternate reality game, which is why the YouTube channel has been a little slow lately. If you think that sounds cool in any way, I advise you to go to the description where I'll have a link to my Discord channel where people are currently trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Number 2, this video is a little different in that I don't really share my thoughts a lot in it. The original idea was that I wanted something to kinda break it up a little bit, some sort of like a summer special that is, you can more or less just listen to it, you don't have to watch it, but I've worked kinda hard on the visuals, so you know, feel free to watch if you want. But I severely underestimated the amount of work it would take to create 6 whole stories, and it took a little longer than I thought it would, but anyway, here it is. So thank you so much for watching, let's just start the video, and I'll see you at the end of it if you make it there. And as you know, I haven't been in this field at all as long as you have, but to me it's kind of a clear case. Yes. I hear what you're saying, and I mean, based on my years of expertise and looking at this, this is most definitely a case of a spooky skeleton. So mark that down as one of them. Thank you, sir. Thank you, assistant. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. My name is Dr. J. Effiott, and in this video today we're going to be exploring the SCP Foundation. So what is the SCP Foundation and what is an SCP? Perhaps you've never heard of it before, or you've heard of it but you're still a little bit confused. Well, let me try to break that down for you with the help of Wikipedia, if you ever heard of that. The SCP Foundation is a fictional secret organization documented by the collaborative writing wiki project of the same name. Within the website's shared universe, the Foundation is responsible for capturing and containing various paranormal, supernatural, and other mysterious phenomena unexplained by mainstream science, known as anomalies or SCPs, while also keeping their existence hidden from the rest of human society. The real-world website is community-based and includes elements of many genres of horror, science fiction, and urban fantasy. So basically what that means is that the SCP Foundation is what happens when a bunch of fanfiction writers watch The Cabin in the Woods and feel inspired. Obviously, I'm just goofing off here, but there is some truth to the fact that the SCP writing, when it is at its worst, is kinda like that novel that your high school classmate Dylan wrote on the assignment The Monster Inside of Us and read aloud to you right after showing you his knife collection. However, when SCP writing is at its best, it's good. It can be really good. Basically thought-provoking horror fiction written into this very specific format on pretty much any subject or topic you can imagine. Number stations, robots, people, things, phenomenon, science fiction, fantasy, a piece of chewed gum that when you chew it, it becomes unchewed, but you can only do it once, because if you chew it again, it just stays unchewed forever and loses all of its anomalous abilities. A toothbrush that can cut through anything. A little toy robot that's decided it's gonna kill all of humanity, but it has no powers, it's just like a little toy robot, so all it can do is, you know, walk around and speak very threateningly. One of them is a cat whose name... Oh no, you're not an SCP. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. One of them is just this phenomenon where if you work at the SCP Foundation, you keep forgetting about the existence of one of America's biggest national parks. I can't remember which one it is right now, the name escapes me. But they just, can't remember that it exists, so they keep it on file and they have no idea of why this happens. Basically, the SCP universe has a little bit of everything, which makes sense now that there are over 7,000 SCPs up on the website, and that's just counting the main entries. There are a bunch of side things like stories and there are a whole category of joke SCPs that are kind of funny, some of them. We can look into that at some point. Naturally, there are very many different reasons to why you can be drawn to the SCP universe. The fear, the fascination, the humor, the community of it all, the craftsmanship, and sometimes, like in this video, because you've read the title, haven't you? The sadness. Now, a lot of SCPs are sad for a myriad of reasons. The SCP Foundation overall seems to have lost a lot of its humanity. They are very fond of bureaucracy, we can say, and they're very sterile in their treatment of SCPs. It doesn't really matter if it's a huge dragon that wants to, like, end the world, or if it's just a guy who, against his will, keeps teleporting to different dimensions and he can't control it. They're basically being treated the same way, that way being not like a human. not with respect, as a thing, being just referred to as the number they've been assigned, not as, you know, he or she or whatever, just it. And there's a lot of other sad aspects about them too. Many of them have like shitty backstories where something bad happened to them. A lot of them kind of end up not being alive by the end. And it's just, there's a bunch of sadness there. However, just like with any genre of fiction, some of them are specifically out to make you sad. And like the soft little soft boy that I am, I have a soft little soft spot for the sad ones, okay? Sue me. And today we're gonna take a look at 6 of them. Now let me explain how I went about to pick these out. Let's get rid of this. I compiled a list of over 50 SCPs that were supposedly sad according to Reddit and the SCP forum, and other sources on google.com. Ever heard of it? You should check it out. It's a cool place to search things up. I took all 40, 50 or whatever it was of those, and I sat down with no music, nothing to make me sad externally, and I read through all of them. And then I had a little list, and on this list I marked down when I cried. All of the ones that I cried at, I moved to another list, and then when I had read through everything, I went to that list of those who made me cry, and I thought, which of these would I like to share with someone else? And that became the 6 SCPs that I don't know why I keep holding my hand like this as if they're here, and I ended up on 6 of them, and those are the ones that I'm gonna be reading to you here today. So without further ado, I guess, I'm gonna have a sit and we'll start reading. I hope you enjoy. SCP-1281, Object Class, Safe. Special Containment Procedures. The remains of SCP-1281 are kept at Outpost 120-09. Monitoring equipment will be installed around and within the entity in case it should ever become active again. Any proposals for study that might damage SCP-1281 must be routed through command. Description: SCP-1281 is a biomechanical entity found in the Kuiper Belt during standard containment of SCP-2362. That basically means that this was found in space around Pluto. SCP-1281 is roughly teardrop-shaped, with a flattened section designated as the bottom of the entity. It measures 12 meters from end to end and is 11 meters in circumference at its widest point. Opposite, there is a significant bulge, which is believed to store the majority of SCP-1281's analysis equipment. There are several dish-shaped structures on SCP-1281's surface that are presumed to be receivers for various forms of electromagnetic radiation, as well as lozenge-shaped capsules of unknown purpose. Several areas on its surface are broken, suggesting more appendages were once present. Biological components appear to have been grown over a mechanical frame, evidently designed to live in deep space. When observed, the entity seemed to have difficulty coping with temperatures much warmer than the Kuiper Belt. Its surface temperature was 50 Kelvin when first found. SCP-1281 was apparently once capable of interstellar travel, but most of its systems were damaged by an unknown event that left it stranded. Dating methods suggest it to have been at least 1.3 billion years old, though much of that time was spent dormant. The entity was almost entirely dormant when it was found. The only signs that it was active were faint lights running along its surface. Observation and experimentation showed that these were in response to radio waves. It had apparently been collecting signals for some time, but no sign of other functions could be detected until Foundation assets approached, at which point it began broadcasting. It was able to break Foundation decryption in less than an hour, at which point it began broadcasting binary signals in an attempt to communicate, starting with extremely simple mathematical concepts. However, after a report was transmitted back to Earth, it stopped broadcasting for several days. The temperature of its dorsal bulge heated by 5 Kelvin during this time, apparently from processing the information. Interview log SCP-1281-1.
Hurt.
Can you hear me?
Who?
We are the SCP Foundation. We are...
What? Masters? No.
No. We call ourselves humans.
Harbinger must. Message. Harbinger must.
End of interview log. SCP-1281 shut down for approximately 4 hours. The temperature around SCP-1281's dorsal budge heated up significantly to about 60 Kelvin. The Foundation team went into standby in the event that SCP-1281 became hostile, while a message was transmitted back to Earth asking for further instructions. The O5 Council advised caution, but instructed Dr. Bloom to continue attempts to communicate, with an eye to bringing SCP-1281 into a containment solution. Interview log SCP-1281-2.
Where is Harbinger?
In the outer reaches of this solar system, beyond the planets.
What star?
We call it Sol.
How long?
You've been in space for about 6 revolutions around the galaxy.
Are you masters?
No.
Message. Harbinger must tell. Mission. Harbinger must.
End of interview log -2. SCP-1281 shut down for 7 hours this time. The heat was more severe, up to 70 Kelvin, and it seemed to cause some damage to the biological components of the entity. O5 Council advised against deception, as it could complicate long-term containment solutions, and because the odds of the species that created SCP-1281 still being both able and willing to initiate hostilities were deemed low. Interview log SCP-1281-3.
I am not home. I am far from home. It is long. Where is home? I cannot see it.
I'm afraid I don't know. The stars would have looked very different back then.
I was told that I must perform my function. I must complete the mission. But I broke. So long ago. Stasis. Wait for further instructions. Wait for rescue. Is this rescue?
What is your mission?
What is? Are you the masters?
No. We are humans.
My mission. You are not the masters. I must. Message. The message must be sent.
SCP-1281 shut down for slightly over 10 hours. The surface of its dorsal hump reached 85 Kelvin, to the detriment of its organic tissues. Interview log SCP-1281-4. This is our Harbinger. It brings good tidings. We will be dead when it reaches you. Our planet is dying. We do not have time to save ourselves. We only have time to ready ourselves and to send a message. We have seen the signals from those who came before us. They were different, and we still don't really understand them. But if there were those who came before, there may be those who come after. It is in this hope that our Harbingers travel. One has found you and learned your language, so it can relay this message. Please listen. The galaxy is dark and empty and cold. It spins inevitably toward death. You will die too one day. Perhaps you will have longer than we have. We hope so. But one day you too must vanish. Before that time comes, you must light the darkness. You must make the night less empty. We are all small, and the universe is vast. But a universe with voices saying, "I am here," is far greater than a universe silent. One voice is small, but the difference between 0 and 1 is as great as 1 and infinity. We waited too long. Our voice is gone to echoes. Find others while there still is time. Make a chorus. And if this finds you too late and your time is also passing, please send this message on so the next voice can speak against the darkness. End of interview log 4. SCP-1281 went inactive for 15 minutes before its final communication. Interview log SCP-1281-5.
Is it done?
That was the message?
Yes. Was it a good message?
You don't know, but you just translated it for us.
I was made with the words, but I don't know what they mean.
It was a very important message.
Good. Mission was important. Knew it. Getting tired. Almost done.
Done?
Mission is done. Brain too hot. Cool and broken.
Harbinger, are you...
Lesser.
Yes?
Did I do well?
Yes, Harbinger. Well done.
Then I am well.
SCP-1281's system appeared to shut down entirely. As it radiated heat, its temperature dropped back down to 50 Kelvin. It was brought to Outpost 120-09 for study. Over the next several months, its tissues began to decay, and no further activity has been detected. Note: Dr. Bloom was reprimanded for emotional involvement interfering with the containment of an anomalous object and was placed on administrative leave. Whew. Am I a super softie, or is that... Well, that's SCP-1281. Moving on. Jesus Christ. SCP-1958. Containment procedures. As of the 9th of 2000, SCP-1958 has been placed in a stable orbit around Earth's Sun at a distance of 1.0 AU and is not currently visible from Earth by the naked eye. The Foundation is to monitor professional and amateur astronomical publications for any indication that SCP-1958 has been sighted, and is to suppress any publication of information regarding its composition or trajectory. On the 8th of 2000, a 3-man survey team deployed from Foundation Lunar Facility 2-A was successful in reaching and entering SCP-1958. Inventorying its contents, installing equipment to facilitate further monitoring, and retrieving components and artifacts deemed noteworthy. All artifacts recovered from SCP-1958 are to be archived at Reliquary 32 for further examination. SCP-1958 is to be returned to Earth if and when a suitable method for its acquisition and transit is devised. Description: SCP-1958 is a 1950 Volkswagen Type 2 Samba bus, often referred to as a microbus, currently located approximately 1.5 AU million kilometers from Earth's Sun, in a region of interplanetary space near the orbit of Mars. Prior to the establishment of Foundation monitoring in 2000, SCP-1958 had been moving away from the Sun at a constant velocity of approximately 130 kilometers an hour. Aside from a severed coolant line on the undercarriage and a small dent on the rear fender, SCP-1958 does not appear to have received any significant damage. The phrases Starmobile and Alpha Centauri or Bust have been spray painted in English on the side panels of SCP-1958. Analysis indicate that SCP-1958's trajectory prior to Foundation contact would have placed it in the vicinity of the star Alpha Centauri A in approximately 37.2 million years. SCP-1958 has undergone heavy aftermarket mechanical modification. The interior cabin and engine compartment have been made airtight, with a small section near the rear doors being converted into an airlock. The original glass windows have been replaced with a shatterproof acrylic, and exterior surfaces have been treated with an unknown chemical additive, rendering them nearly impervious to penetration by space debris. The gas tank has been replaced with a fuel cell that appears to be based on advanced theories of not developed until several decades after the date at which SCP-1958 is presumed to have left Earth. No modifications have been made to the driver's controls or to the dashboard display. During exploration, the survey team noted that the steering wheel, gas and brake pedals, and gear shift function to alter SCP-1958's speed and direction in a manner commensurate to a vehicle being driven on the Earth's surface. The following artifacts were discovered within SCP-1958's cabin upon exploration. The skeletal remains of an adult human male, approximately 21 years of age, identified as William, who was reported missing in the summer of 1950 while attending classes at the University of California, San Francisco. Skeletal remains of one adult female domestic cat. Forensic analysis indicates that the cat was pregnant at time of death. 4 bedrolls and pillows. A supply of clothing in styles typical of late 1950s American youth culture for several adults of mixed gender. A partially exhausted supply of dehydrated food, remaining stores sufficient to feed 4 adults for approximately 3 months. A chemical toilet and water filtration equipment intended to recycle drinking water from urine, feces, and sweat. An atmospheric scrubbing system sufficient for removing exhaled carbon dioxide from the cabin and introducing oxygen produced as a waste product of the engine. A seed bank containing seeds from several thousand domestic plants and freeze-dried fertilized ova of several dozen livestock and domesticated animals. A water pipe containing cannabis residue, 1 syringe and an empty vial. Chemical analysis indicated that the vial and syringe had been used in the storage and injection of heroin. Blueprints and technical diagrams relating to the modifications made to SCP-1958's engine. 1 acoustic guitar. 1 pair of bongo drums. The following books: Howl and Other Poems, Allen Ginsberg. On the Road, Jack Kerouac. Collected Poems, 1934 to 1952, Dylan Thomas. Untitled songbooks containing lyrics and guitar tablature for the songs of Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger, and Hank Williams, in addition to several original compositions. The Voyage of the Space Beagle, A.E. van Vogt. Jack Proton, Space Cop, M.K. Snyder. Worlds in Collision, Emanuel Velikovsky. Dianetics, L. Ron Hubbard. Space Brothers, A Guide to Our Galactic Next-Door Neighbors, Rev. Abraxas Honeychild Jackson. And a handwritten diary identified as belonging to William. The means by which SCP-1958 initially left Earth's surface is unknown. An examination of police reports and newspaper archives indicates that several bright lights and sonic booms were reported by residents of San Francisco on the evening of July 4th, 1950, during Independence Day fireworks displays that could not be accounted for by pyrotechnics. Its former residence was demolished to make way for new construction in 1975. Surviving friends and relatives have described as a beatnik who was active in counterculture circles and left-wing political causes, and who dabbled briefly with several new religious movements, including transcendental meditation, the teachings of Indian mystic Meher Baba, and the First Fifth Church of San Francisco. Excerpts from Diary of William. 3rd of February, 1950. Bought the bus today. We hawked pretty much everything we own between the four of us to make the down payment. Jerry says it's perfect. Plenty of space inside for all of us and plenty of room under the hood for the shit he's gonna need to pack in there. He says it'll be ready in a couple of months, but Susan wants to graduate before we go, so we'll probably wait until summer. Plenty of time to get everything else we need. Feels like it was only yesterday that those fifthist squares kicked us out for our heresy. They laughed when I told them Jackson was wrong, that Eggers was wrong, that Rand was wrong. There's magic up there, alright, but I'm not gonna sit here working 9 to 5 and wait for it to come to us. We're going to it. Heaven's up there, man. Just waiting for its angels. 4th of July, 1950. Blast off. First men in space. Take that, Khrushchev. Here it is, Independence Day. And for the first time in history since the man started setting up his rules and his laws and his banks, there's 4 people in this universe who are really free. It's so beautiful up here. The Earth is getting smaller and smaller in the rearview mirror. I swear, it feels like we're barely moving at all, but Jerry says we're pulling 82 on this thing. Ain't no pigs up here gonna pull us over. He says ought to be 3 weeks, 4 tops before we make it to Alpha Centauri. We lit a couple up and said goodbye to Mother Earth for one last time. Seventh of July, 1950. Would you believe we can still get AM radio on the Motorola? Outer space is rockin', man. 9th of July, 1950. We ran out of beer today. Sam cracked one open with breakfast when we noticed there were only 7 left. 4 Olympia, 2 Rainer, 1 Coors. We cracked them open with lunch. Even let Susan's cat Millie drink some. She looks like she's gained some weight since we took off. Everyone's kinda bummed about the beer situation, but it's all good. Soon as we land, we'll get some barley growing, and by next year, we'll be brewing our own. 16th of July, 1950. Jerry is dead. Something bumped into us during our sing-along. Jerry said it was probably some space dust, but he wanted to go outside and check it out. He put on the spacesuit that Susan made for him and climbed outside. He was on his way back in when something else bumped us and he lost his grip. Susan and Sam were screaming as he just drifted away. I tried to turn around, but shit, man, I never learned how to drive, and these things handle like boats, even when they do have road underneath them. By the time we got to him, he was dead. Susan won't stop bawling. They were gonna get married as soon as we landed. Got my license and all. I was gonna do the deed myself. We had to give her some pills to get her to sleep after I got us back on course. It's a good thing we're halfway there by now. The sooner we can get out of this cramped little bus, the better. 19th of July, 1950. Susan was dead when we woke up this morning. The needle was still in her arm. I don't know how she got that much junk on here with her. She never touched that shit before in her life. I played Amazing Grace on the guitar and said a little something while Sam put her out the airlock. Maybe she'll find Jerry out there. August 23, 1950. Something's wrong, man. We should have made it by now, but I haven't even seen Alpha Centauri out the window. Are we going the wrong way? Did we go too far? I can't make any sense of these star charts. Jerry was the expert on all this shit. I'm just a philosophy major. Sam and I have been getting sick too. I've been getting weaker and we've got these splotches all over our bodies. Sam is having trouble eating and he lost a tooth yesterday. I haven't seen the cat in days, but I can smell something real bad. I think she must have crawled behind something and died. I hope we can make it soon. 18th of September, 1950. I can see the moon outside the window. Something's wrong, man. All this time out here, we're not even past the moon? Jerry must have fucked up the math. We'll never get there in time. I don't even think we can get back home anymore. I closed all the curtains once I saw it. I can't let Sam know. He's not holding his food down anymore. I'm not much better myself. 23rd of September, 1950. I'm all alone now. Sam died this morning. He could barely sit up or see towards the end. He asked me if we were there yet. I told him, yeah man, we'll be there tomorrow. Just you get your rest. I didn't have the heart to tell him the truth. He asked me to read him And Death Shall Have No Dominion one last time. His eyes were closed by the time I finished. They never opened up again. I pushed him out the airlock after he was gone. There's not gonna be anyone left to push me out. The 3rd of November, 1950. The stars are so fucking beautiful out here, man. And that's SCP-1958. I don't know if it's the loneliness of space, of him being alone at the end, or if it's just the tragedy of them all dying. I think the worst part to me is the fact that he is so out of control, that the guy who kind of knew all this shit dies first. It reminds me of those nightmares I used to have where like I'm suddenly driving a car on like a highway and I don't know how to fucking drive a car and I'm panicking. I'm like, how the fuck did I get into this situation? But I have no memory of it. All I know is that I'm in the situation and I'm completely out of my element. Those were my very short thoughts on SCP-1958. Moving on. SCP-3737. Special Containment Procedures. The Foundation has purchased the land that contains SCP-3737-1. Various signs have been posted around the area declaring it as federal property. Trespassers are subject to local law. A proposal to allow personnel to visit SCP-3737 during reunion events is currently being reviewed. Description: SCP-3737 is an interdimensional anomaly that manifests as a tropical island. The size of the island or the surrounding ocean has not been measured due to SCP-3737's limited accessibility. Per its anomalous nature, the island has no relative location and exists in its own reality. SCP-3737-1 is the entrance to SCP-3737, located on the Krumsen Bridge in Blasambla, Greenland. The entrance takes the form of an unstable Einstein-Rosen spatial anomaly, which is connected to a similar anomaly on a dock on the southern portion of SCP-3737. SCP-3737-1 is typically inaccessible, but can open at highly irregular intervals. These periods have been designated as reunion events and last exactly 24 hours before SCP-3737-1 reverts to its inaccessible state. The spontaneous appearance of a wall of fog on the bridge housing SCP-3737-1 indicates a reunion event. Passing through this wall is effectively entering SCP-3737-1. SCP-3737-2 is the collective designation for the inhabitants of SCP-3737, which are various species of animals commonly kept as household pets. Instances of SCP-3737-2 are all present in their adolescent age and show no indications of poor health. These entities will engage in playful activities with each other or with the various animal toys found around SCP-3737. No aggressive or territorial behavior has been observed in SCP-3737-2 instances. Exploration Log 3737-1A. Due to the rarity of its appearance, a research team was granted permission to explore the nature of SCP-3737-1 when it spontaneously opened on October 6, 2016. All personnel were required to wear Class A environmental hazard suits until the location at the opposite end of SCP-3737-1 was deemed habitable. The transcript of the subsequent video has been added to this file. 3737-1A Video Transcript. The video is taken from the perspective of Dr. Lawrence' suit camera. The first few seconds show Dr. Lawrence behind Dr. McCall and Dr. Rostova as they approach SCP-3737-1 with Agents Crawford, Bourdeau, Alex, and Ramirez flanking. Proceeding to enter the anomaly.
The team crosses through the wall of fog. Camera feed glitches for approximately 2.4 seconds before re-establishing. Frame shows the research team on SCP-3737's dock.
Is that a blue sky I'm seeing?
Never thought I'd see something so mundane.
Hold. Entities sighted on the beach.
The frame shifts to show a group of K9 SCP-3737-2 engaging with a length of rope a few feet from the dock. They appear oblivious to the presence of the team.
I have a clear shot.
Hold. Do not engage.
Dr. McCall turns to face Agent Alexander.
It might be friendly.
I'd rather one of us determine that. Bardo, go and initiate contact with one of the entities.
Aye, sir.
Agent Bardo breaks away from the main group and approaches the SCP-3737-2 instances with his weapon raised. One of the instances, a male Airedale Terrier, notices Agent Bardo and turns to face him. The other instances remain oblivious.
If it moves in a way you don't like, shoot it.
Aye.
The instances move in front of Agent Bardo and sits. Agent Bardo points his weapon at the entity.
Advise.
Hold your fire. Bardo, initiate physical contact with the entity. Crawford, Ramirez, be ready to engage.
Agent Bardo extends his arm in front of the entity. It slowly approaches and places its head under Agent Bardo's hand. Bardo proceeds to rub the instance's head, which causes it to pant.
That doesn't look very murderous to me.
You should know as well as anyone that anything has the capability to be...
Catherine, is this really the time?
What, Vernon? Am I not allowed to be cautious?
Being cautious and being extremely presumptuous are two separate things.
I am not being presumptuous. I'm taking my job seriously.
Would you two be quiet? I think you're scaring them.
Several of the instances have distanced themselves from the team.
Did they bring the whole zoo here or something?
Hang on. This dog has a collar.
Agent Bardo investigates the collar on the SCP-3737-2 instance.
His name is Felix.
It has a name?
They all have collars. Who do they belong to?
I don't think that's important right now. We should continue moving.
Several hours pass. The team explores several areas within SCP-3737. The island is revealed to contain several different terrains, including forests and prairies, along with more instances of SCP-3737-2.
Has anyone noticed that the sun hasn't moved since we got here?
Perhaps it is an anomalous property of the island? Who knows?
An instance of SCP-3737-2, a female boxer, appears out of a nearby bush and approaches Dr. McCall.
I guess she likes you.
It appears she does.
Dr. McCall notices the instance's blue collar. He pauses for a moment.
Is everything all right, Ludwig?
Yes, everything is fine. That instance just reminds me of an old friend is all.
I could check the name tag.
It is extremely implausible that that friend is her.
No harm in trying then, Doctor. Permission to approach the entity?
Granted. Be cautious.
Agent Bardo crouches in front of the instance and inspects its name tag.
Her name is Gypsy.
That was her name.
So? I'm sure a lot of dogs are named Gypsy. What makes you think this one is her?
Gypsy also had a blue collar.
Remember you talking about Gypsy. I thought she had died.
She did. We had to put her down when I was 16.
Then what is she doing here?
It is still my best opinion that we do not get so...
Dr. Rostova is alerted when another SCP-3737-2 instance appears. She turns to face a male Siamese cat wearing a black collar.
That's not possible.
What is it, Catherine?
Dr. Rostova approaches the instance and also removes her suit. She grabs the entity and holds it close to her chest, to which it begins purring. Dr. Rostova begins to cry.
The hell is going on here?
I have no idea. Doctor, mind explaining?
He looks just like my old Siamese. Same collar and everything. Even has his name tag.
Catherine, I'd be very careful. This looks just like 3773.
This looks nothing like that, Vernon. Pike was batshit crazy, and so was her cat.
Dr. Rostova spots a feather on a string, which did not show up on the film prior to her arrival. She picks the stick up and proceeds to play with the SCP-3737-2 instance. Dr. McCall has ceased interactions with his SCP-3737-2 instance to respond to his earpiece.
That's odd.
What is it, Ludwig?
Bridge team is reading a loss of stability in the portal.
They're suggesting we return to camp as soon as possible.
The dock isn't that far from here, an hour or two at least. Will it hold?
They're saying it'll last for another 2 hours before it collapses.
Wonderful. I can take Jasper and Dr. McCall can take Gypsy.
Catherine, you know how strict we are about dimensional entities. I don't think I need to remind you what happens if we bring them back.
I can't just leave him here, Vernon. I don't want him to get lonely.
We've seen plenty of other instances that seem very happy to provide company. We need to go, Catherine.
He was my best friend when I was a kid. I haven't seen him in years, and you expect me to just leave him? Just like that?
Dr. Rostova, it isn't safe for you here if you stay much longer.
It's my cat. If I want to bring him, I can. I take full responsibility. I don't see why you aren't happy to see your dog, Ludwig.
Of course I'm happy to see her, Catherine. She was my best friend growing up as well. I would love having someone like her back, but she might not even exist. And even if she does, I don't want her going through the Foundation. That wouldn't be right.
Fine. If you don't want to bring her back, that's fine. I'm still taking Jasper.
I think you should listen to Dr. Lawrence. I can't permit you to bring something of that nature back with us.
I don't care about the regulations, Alexander. It's a cat. It isn't going to kill you.
We don't know that yet, Doctor. Put it down.
He's coming with me, and that's that. Now, I suggest we return to the dock.
Dr. Rostova, I will be forced to place you in quarantine if you do not release the entity.
So be it. Jasper is coming back with me.
Dr. Rostova carries her SCP-3737-2 instance as the research team returns to the dock. Dr. McCall's SCP-3737-2 instance has been following behind.
Everyone accounted for?
I believe so.
Good. Let's get this over with.
Wait.
What's wrong?
I never got the chance to say goodbye to Gypsy. My father took her to the vet, and I didn't go. I'd like to say my goodbyes before we go. You know, just in case.
Doctor, we don't have much
I know, Alexander. Just give me a moment. Dr. McCall turns and kneels to face his SCP-3737-2 instance. He begins to rub its head. Goodbye, girl. Thank you for always being there for me. I love you very much. Dr. McCall proceeds to hug the instance. The team then crosses into SCP-3737-1. Upon reaching the other side, Dr. Rostova notices her SCP-3737-2 instance is no longer in her arms. Agent Crawford and Agent Bardot restrain her as she attempts to cross back into SCP-3737-1. SCP-3737-1 then becomes unstable and closes. The fog dissipates. Addendum 3737-1B. Investigation into the nature of SCP-3737-2 has been postponed until SCP-3737-1 becomes stable. Upon further analysis, the color tags found on the SCP-3737-2 instances featured no extraneous information besides the name of the instance. The appearance of various pet toys in SCP-3737 is also currently being investigated. Addendum 3737-2B. Dr. Catherine Rostova was placed into quarantine following her return under the suspicion that she was suffering from mimetic effects. She was released a week later after clearing several cognitohazard screenings. Dr. Rostova is to meet with Site-24's psychiatrist on a weekly basis until such a time where she is deemed emotionally stable. And that's that one. I would say that's probably the least sad one to me. It's still sad, but that one made me have not a single tear, because single tears didn't get on the list, but like at most like a triple tear, you know? Single tear from single eye, and then second tear from second eye, and then third tear and fourth tear from both eyes. But then that's it. Let's move on. SCP-2053. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-2053-1 is kept in a standard containment locker at site SCP-2053-2 is to be stored on a 2 GB flash drive in the same containment locker as SCP-2053-1. Once a month, one Level 2 researcher is to remove SCP-2053-1 from this locker and attempt to rotate the object's faces. If unsuccessful, the object is to be returned to the locker. If rotation is successful, testing will resume under the direction of Dr. Boone. Description: SCP-2053-1 is a puzzle cube measuring approximately 5.7 centimeters along each exterior edge. It is physically identical to a standard Rubik's brand puzzle cube. SCP-2053-1 can be solved in the same way that a non-anomalous Rubik's Cube can be solved, by rotating its various faces until all the stickers on each distinct face of the cube are identical in color. The object shows signs of wear and tear, presumably an indication of heavy use. However, tests show that the stickers themselves have never been removed. Occasionally, SCP-2053-1 will enter an active state, during which the object's faces will begin to rotate on their own accord at approximately 3 rotations per second. After the object has completed several of these rotations, it will enter a passive state for approximately 20 seconds, during which the faces will remain in this permutation. The object will then become active again and return to its base solved state, at which point it will become dormant once more. SCP-2053-2 is a computer file labeled "I love you, Jake, please read this.pdf. The metadata associated with the file shows that it is 1.21 megabytes in size, and it can be stored on any digital media with that amount of available storage. However, the number of pages contained within the document far surpasses the number that should be possible of a file this size. When opened by a PDF-capable program, the resulting document contains exactly
43,252,3,274,489,856,000
pages. Foundation analysts estimate that a non-anomalous PDF document of this length would occupy approximately 2.1 yottabytes, that's 2.1 trillion terabytes, of storage space. Each page of the document depicts a 2-dimensional polyhedral net equivalent to a 3-dimensional Rubik's Cube. The diagram on each page is colored in such a way that it corresponds to a possible permutation of SCP-2053-1. Displayed below each diagram is an English phrase or sentence in a nondescript black typeface. Using computing assets obtained from Inc., personnel assigned to SCP-2053 have created a digital database containing all of these diagrams and their corresponding phrases. Of note is the fact that the number of pages in SCP-2053-2 exactly matches the number of possible arrangement of SCP-2053-1. This implies that for every possible permutation, there is a corresponding phrase. By physically rotating the faces of the cube to match the permutation contained within SCP-2053-2, communication with SCP-2053-1 is possible, using the phrases given in the document. Interview Log 2053-01. For the purposes of this experiment and subsequent interviews, Dr. Boone has set up a device which quickly analyzes each passive state permutation of SCP-2053-1 and cross-references this against the contents of SCP-2053-2 to produce the corresponding phrase. At the same time, another program is used to search SCP-2053-2 for specific desired phrases, such as "What is your name?" and translates these back into their corresponding permutations. These two programs are used in tandem, essentially to decode incoming communication from SCP-2053-1 and to encode phrases directed at SCP-2053-1. This allows Dr. Boone to open a dialogue with SCP-2053-1 to determine the nature of the entity associated with it. All of the phrases used during this initial interview appear in SCP-2053-2. Capitalization and spelling have not been altered.
Hello.
Jake,
How are you doing this?
is that you, Jake?
Yes.
It's me, your dad.
How are you doing this?
I love you, Jake.
I love you, Dad.
I am so happy, Jake.
What is going on?
You have never talked to me before.
I am sorry.
I am so happy this worked.
What worked?
I finally found a way to talk to you.
What do you mean?
The doctors said you would probably never talk again. After the accident with your mom.
The accident.
I am so sorry, Jake. All I ever wanted was to tell you.
Tell me what?
I love you. And I am so sorry.
It's okay.
This is the most you have ever talked to anyone. There are so many things I want to ask you.
At this point, Dr. Boone ceases communication. I recommend we try to dig up what we can on this Jake and his father before we continue. We won't be able to keep up this facade forever. Dr. Boone. Addendum 253-1. As of the 5th of no progress has been made on the search for the individual believed to be associated with SCP-2053. Well, Jacob is a pretty common name, isn't it? We're going to need to modify our search parameters. Come at this from a different angle. Based on what the father has said, I think we have reason to believe that this Jake may have some type of social or development disorder. Let's start looking at orphanages, mental institutions, hospitals, etc. Dr. Boone. Addendum 2053-02. The Foundation has located an individual in an extended care facility in South Carolina who falls under the correct parameters. Jacob, age 31, suffering from and when interviewed, his attending physician commented on Jacob's acute attachment to complex puzzles, specifically Rubik's Cubes, and his skill at solving them. Well, looks like we found Jake. Due to his current condition, direct communication is impossible. Based on the information we gathered from SCP-2053-1 and Jacob's physician, it sounds like he's never actually spoken to anyone. I recommend we keep the son out of the equation and continue interacting with SCP-2053-1 under this facade. We'll check in on him every month or so to see if his condition changes. But the way these things go, we're probably never going to hear his side of whatever this is. Dr. Boone. Addendum 2053-03. In all interviews thus far, see interview logs -02 through -08, SCP-2053-1 has been unwilling to reveal any information regarding the origin of its current condition to Jake. In light of this, Dr. Boone has decided to communicate with SCP-2053-1 under the guise of a generic physician. See interview log 2053-09.
Hello.
Hello.
We need to talk.
About what, Jake?
This is not Jake.
This better be a joke.
This is not a joke.
Who is this?
I am a doctor.
Where is my son?
Your son is safe.
What have you done with Jake?
Your son is safe.
Give me to my son.
I need to ask you some questions.
What have you done with Jake?
Jake is being taken care of.
Give me to my son. I need to make sure he's okay.
I can't do that.
Why not? What happened?
I can assure you Jake is perfectly safe.
Please don't hurt my son. Oh God, he just came back to me.
If you answer my questions, I can give you more information about your son.
What do you want?
Are you aware of your current condition?
Yes.
Could you explain how you ended up in your current condition?
I just wanted to talk to my son. He is a special boy. He loves his puzzles, but ever since the accident with his mom, he won't talk to anyone. He spends all day with his cubes. The doctor called it progressive mutism. 9 years. I just wanted to talk to my son.
Could you explain how you ended up in your current condition?
I met a guy who said he could get Jake to talk. He knew a doctor in Virginia or something who could fix Jake. I just wanted to talk to my son.
This man turned you into a Rubik's Cube?
It worked, didn't it? I got to talk to my son after 9 years of nothing.
I suppose it did.
Please, can I talk to my son again? Give me to him.
I'm sorry that is impossible at the moment.
Why? What happened?
Jake is unable to communicate at the moment.
Oh God, what did you do to Jake? You bastards better not hurt my son, I swear to God. Where's my son?
I would like to ask you a few questions first.
Where's my son?
At this point, SCP-2053-1 enters a dormant state, apparently stuck in this permutation. Since the conclusion of this interview, all attempts by Dr. Boone and assisting personnel to rotate any of the object's faces have been unsuccessful. This image depicts the page from SCP-2053-2, which corresponds to the current permutation of SCP-2053-1. Yeah, that one is like borderline silly at some points, and I think that's why I like it. It feels like it's not afraid to kind of go there. This is a dad who turned himself into a Rubik's Cube, and it keeps like referring to this accident in very vague terms, which again is a little bit cheesy, I think, but yeah, it really, to me, it really works. Maybe it's just because I have a soft spot for father-son stories or something, but yeah, it's sweet. Especially the first interview log gets to me. Okay, next up. SCP-2420, Object Class, Neutralized. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-2420 is currently being held in the low-security humanoid containment wing at Site-213. As of Incident 2420-A, all anomalous activity exhibited by SCP-2420 has been observed to be neutralized. Possible permanent containment, despite cessation of all anomalous activity, is being reviewed by the Ethics Committee. Prior Special Containment Procedures. SCP-2420 is to be held in a humanoid containment cell in Specialized Containment Wing at Site-213. Due to SCP-2420's severe depression, it is to be administered
bupropion
and
citalopram
twice daily, with
alprazolam
administered as needed. SCP-2420 is allowed to create instances of 2420-1 twice a week for 3 hours at a time, to be lengthened or lessened dependent on cooperation and the current mental state of SCP-2420. Outside of monitored contact with SCP-2420-1, all domesticated dogs are to be kept outside of SCP-2420's awareness. A pool of domesticated dogs are to be on hand at Foundation kennels to be used as 2420-1 instances on a rotating basis. Former instances of 2420-1 maintain no anomalous traits and can be adopted by Site-213 personnel or reintegrated into nearby animal shelters. Testing of SCP-2420 has been discontinued. Any recommendations for possible resumed testing are to be brought before researcher Hydock. Description: SCP-2420 was a human, formerly John, who created instances of SCP-2420-1, which took the appearance and memories of the former's pet dog out of domesticated dogs. The effects occurred whenever 2420 was made aware of any dog or any dog was made aware of 2420. Repeated testing showed that only domesticated dogs were affected, with wolves, coyotes, and other canids being immune to the anomalous effects. Dogs of any size would become an instance of 2420-1 and show no pain in their transformation, aside from a general confusion found when brought outside of 2420's influence. 2420-1 instances were completely invulnerable to any form of damage. Attempts at DNA testing were rendered void when it was discovered that nothing could cut SCP-2420-1's fur. Any other tests into the indestructibility of 2420-1 were deemed unnecessary, partly due to the fragile nature of 2420's mental state. While 2420-1 instances showed no need for water or food, the instances would eat whatever was presented to them, with various poisons showing no effect. Former instances of 2420-1 that were dissected after being fed showed no sign of having recently ingested any food. Despite 2420-1 instances taking the form of 2420's border terrier, photographs and videos of 2420-1 consistently displayed the original body of the dog in question. This resulted in physical discomfort and mental distress regarding certain photos and videos, namely one showing Saint Bernards being able to fit through a small aperture, but the images themselves maintained no otherwise anomalous effects. SCP-2420 Initial Interview Log. This is the first interview to take place after SCP-2420's admittance into Site-213.
Good morning, SCP-2420. I've heard you've had some trouble sleeping.
Xanax.
Pardon me?
Anxious. Helps me sleep. Get me some, I guess. Also turn off the air conditioning.
Absolutely. However, I'm not merely here to see to your mental and physical state. As I'm sure you may have guessed, I'd like to hear about your relationship with your pet before she was deceased.
Maddie.
Pardon?
Ma'am, you can call me whatever you want, but she has a name. It's Maddie. Short for Matilda. Her full name is Matilda May. Or Matilda May, I guess.
Duly noted. But please, tell about Maddie.
Well, she was my dog, I guess. I got her from a neighbor. They're not like a breeder, but they had a border terrier met another border terrier, and they were looking to give away puppies, I guess. And I was lonely. My parents died, but I guess you know that. They left me a house, but it's fucked up lonely to be the only one living in some dead people's house, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I came to their house, their backyard, really, and they had all the puppies kind of, you know, all meshed up. I mean, in some cage. Hey, can we turn the fan on? It's really hot, like it's really hot.
SCP-2420 begins to hyperventilate and hug its chest. Certainly, SCP-2420, but please, calm down. I promise I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to hear your relation with with Maddie. You were just telling me about the day you chose her from her litter?
Okay, yeah, I saw her, yeah. She wasn't the biggest, but I noticed her right away. She was a little bit of a bully. She was playing, yeah, but you got the sense that she didn't have patience for the other dogs. They bothered her, and she wanted them to know it. And when I came over, she was the last to come see me. The others, they just jumped up trying to get me, wanting attention, wanting to be picked up, but she just sat down and she stared at me for a good bit. I stared back. It was weird, I guess, but I felt like she was sizing me up. She came over real confident, kind of pushed aside her brothers and sisters, and I held my hand out to her. She clamped down on my hand, but not hard. It wasn't mean. She was never mean. Not to me. And from then, I guess I knew I had to get her.
Did she ever exhibit any anomalous abilities? And for that matter, before this, have you ever been able to do something that, to be blunt, SCP-2420 felt impossible?
If I thought I was magic, I don't think I would have been a telemarketer, living in my parents' house. And Maddie? No. Maddie was definitely not a magic. I mean, shit, she was afraid of rainstorms. She thought the vacuum cleaner was a real animal. She was a smart dog, though. Always seemed to be more person than dog, yeah, but not magic. I always thought, you know, that she could learn a bunch of tricks if she wanted, but she clearly had no interest. Mere tricks were beneath her. She carried herself like a little queen, I guess.
So nothing strange in her life had ever led you to believe that she could be capable of this kind of anomaly?
She was normal. I mean, like I said, she wasn't really a big fan of other dogs, but she'd play with them. It was always like, you know, they were beneath her, but she'd chase them. She was real territorial. Maddie killed a couple of birds and stuff. Squirrel once, because it got caught up in a fence. Never thought she'd actually catch one. Shit, you should have seen her. Blood all over her muzzle. So damn proud of herself. It was like she knew that she... But, I guess you want to hear about how she died, right?
That would be quite helpful, SCP-2420.
Even that was, I guess, sadly normal. I was taking her for a walk. She always loved walks. I mean, shit, I guess all dogs like walks, but she liked them a lot more. I don't know, maybe that's crazy, but we were walking near the street, well... Can we turn up the air conditioning just a little bit?
Certainly. If you'd rather not talk about this right now, we could discuss it another time.
No, I'm fine. I guess she didn't die after all, right? A car hit her. I guess I wasn't paying attention. People said I was lucky I didn't get hit, but I would have rather gotten hit. Maybe I wouldn't have died. Squished her down the middle. It was horrible. The person driving the car was some teen girl. Wasn't her fault. I was jaywalking. She was young. Wasn't her fault. I knew her mother. She lived on the street, but I couldn't stop crying. There she was, waltzing Matilda May. There she fucking was, and she was dead, bleeding everywhere. I took her in my arms. She wasn't breathing. I didn't get to be there for her last breath. I think she died when I was crying, when I was stunned by all the shit.
And what was done with the body?
I took her. I walked her. It wasn't that far. Said I was in shock, but I knew what I was doing. Got a shovel from my garage, my dad's shovel. I got her favorite blanket. Guess it was my blanket, really. A big green one. She always loved it. It was mine, but it may as well have been hers. She was more comfortable with it than anyone else could have been, you know. You give a dog a blanket and you swear no human could ever be so cozy. So I wrapped her up, all broken. God, she was so small. I dug a hole in the middle of my backyard. It was a spot where the shade of the trees didn't reach. She'd lay there. Waltzing Matilda, may I have this dance? It's what I named her after. You know the song? I buried her. She should still be there. You guys can check it out. No one moved it.
Certainly, SCP-2420. Thank you for your cooperation. If you want to stop now, I would certainly understand. It's been a tough day for you.
No, it's fine. There's only a little bit more anyway. Can I continue?
Absolutely.
I was going to kill myself the day I noticed she was everywhere dogs were. Just a normal walk, but I was going to jump off a bridge. I don't know if I was really gonna, to be honest, man. But I felt like I was gonna. It felt right. But things were weird. I never noticed so many border terriers in my life. The neighbors, all of them, identical. And they looked just like Maddie. I thought I was losing it. They were trying to get under the gate, trying to climb up, barking at me, carrying on. I didn't notice anything was weird until I got near the dog park.
And that's where we found you, correct?
Yeah, I guess. That's where y'all found me. I don't know why I got there. Wasn't even near the bridge. Wasn't even all that close. I think I just wanted to see some before I died. They were always so nice. Dogs. But they were all border terriers. And they were all running to me. So many of them. They all stopped in front of me. Owners were yelling, people were screaming, they were slipping out of collars that had gotten too big, they were breaking free from everything to come to me. And they encircled me. They were all her. I knew it immediately. They were all her. One walked up to me and it bit my hand, gentle. And that's when I fainted. Then, well, I'm here.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Is there anything you need before this is concluded?
Yeah. Just one thing.
Yes?
Does it hurt them? Does what she does hurt them? I heard they stop being her when I'm not there. Are they okay?
Yes. When they're not instances of when they cease to be Maddie, there is no pain in the switch, either to or from. None of the dogs have exhibited any signs, anomalous or not, of being in any way affected by Maddie and your effect.
And you? You're not going to hurt them?
Excuse me?
Listen, I've seen E.T., I'm not stupid. You're going to dissect them. Dissect her, maybe, and I'm telling you, please don't. Please don't hurt a dog because of me. I beg of you.
I will see what I can do, SCP-2420. Once again, thank you.
Will I get to see her again?
Visiting times can certainly be arranged, especially for testing purposes.
Thank you. I miss her so much. I didn't even get to tell her how good a girl she was for, being magic.
Foundation operatives were able to recover the remains of SCP-2420's former pet where it had been claimed to be. The remains were not anomalous in any way and had been met with the expected amount of decay. Incident 2420-A. During a routine session with SCP-2420 and 2420-1, the latter was found to have reverted to its original appearance while in the presence of the former.
Continued testing with SCP-2420 and other dogs showed that the SCP-2420 anomaly had most likely been extinguished. Currently, SCP-2420 has been allowed to perform Level 0 clerical work, while the Ethics Committee will meet to decide what actions to take next. The object has been deemed neutralized. Incident 2420-A Interview Log. This interview took place immediately after Incident 2420-A.
Was there anything different about Maddie today, SCP-2420?
No, it was just like any other day. She came in, jumped around a bit, took her on a little walk, and we were just sitting together. Just normal, lounging. But I don't know, something felt weird. You'd notice it, right? She'd been looking older, even whiter in the jaw, in her snout. God, how long have I been here, Doc? 6 years?
Actually, 10.
Jesus. Well, that's a long time, isn't it? But yeah, so I'd been noticing. She'd been getting older, which was weird, since really this hasn't been 10 years for her. It's only been, what, 6 hours a week for 10 years, but whatever. Maybe it was stressful on her. Maybe time doesn't work like that, I don't know.
True. We found that a normal timeline doesn't apply to most anomalous objects under our care.
Yeah, see. But she'd been quiet, cuddly, and I guess it was almost time for her to go. You know, time's up. She always knew when it was close, time-wise. So she hopped off the couch and, you know, that usually hurt her hips a little bit, but she didn't even wince or anything. She licked my hand, and then she bit it, looked me in the eyes. That's when I knew that this was going to be the last time I saw her. That's when I knew. It had been so hard for her to cling in all those other dogs. I wonder how we did it. It was hard, but she loved me, I guess.
And then she was gone?
She let go, and she barked at me. Once. Impatient. The way she did when she had a toy and I wasn't paying attention. She grinned, stupid grin, tongue flopping. And then it was like, I don't know, like a flash. And then suddenly she was that confused golden retriever. Poor baby had no fucking clue who I was. So I guess you're not gonna keep me around anymore, right? Gonna suck out my memories, drop me back into the real world?
That is certainly a possibility. Would you prefer that? Honestly, most people under our care would do anything to escape us.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go anywhere where I'll forget her. I'm afraid if I go back out, I'll die without her. I won't remember how she did such strange things to be with me again. That I did such wild shit. I'm afraid of being myself again. The old me. I'm worried I'll walk right back to that bridge, but she won't be at the dog park again. Shit, if you want, I'll clean up the toilets and fuck, 10 years? How am I gonna get a job? 10 years, Jesus.
I will bring that to the attention of the Ethics Committee, though I make no promises. But what I want to ask is, do you feel meaningfully different, SCP-2420? Certainly our conversations over the years have shown you take a turn. Do you believe it to be the medication, the anomalous effects, or was it merely being allowed to see your dog again?
I don't know, Doc. Probably the latter. I don't know. I mean, do you want me to say whether or not you think my dog somehow cured my depression?
That's certainly a question that's been on my mind.
Of course it didn't cure me. It just felt nice. That someone loved me enough to do what she did. But she's just a dog. She's not magic.
Something about pets, right? That's a good dog, is what that one's called. I hope the voice work wasn't like too over the top. I wanted you to be able to differentiate between the different characters, I guess. So I tried something, but maybe it just came off as silly. I don't know. Moving on to the next one. SCP-1522. Object Class. Neutralized. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1522-1 and -2 were tracked and monitored by MTF-PI-2, aka Baldur's Pyre. MTF-PI-2 vehicles consisted of 2 Hamilton-class cutters and 1 national security cutter, with associated aircraft. Civilian maritime traffic was directed away from the expected course of SCP-1521-1 and 2. When this was not possible, MTF Pi 2 ships were to fire flares in order to attract and lead Dash 1 and Dash 2 into isolated ocean areas. Description: SCP-1522 refers to two fishing trawlers, Dash 1 and Dash 2, each 39 meters in length. Dash 1 and Dash 2 were capable of speeds surpassing that of their specifications. Prior to Incident 1522 Rho, their highest observed speed was 120 knots. Dash 1 and Dash 2 were assumed to be sapient and usually responded to SCP's vessel signals to change course. Records indicate that Dash 1 and Dash 2 were manufactured simultaneously in 1991 at the Paracol Marine Shipyard in Whitby, United Kingdom. After construction, Dash 1 and Dash 2 were kept in Whitby Harbour for several months due to financial complications, before being sold to separate buyers. They served with their respective companies for 3 years before being decommissioned as a result of recurrent mechanical issues. No anomalous effects were present during this time. It is unclear whether Dash 1 or Dash 2 actually underwent a decommissioning process. In May of 1997, Dash 1 and Dash 2 were detected in a refurbished and repainted condition off the southern coast of Alaska. Foundation VBSS operations found no crew aboard either ship. Dash 1 and Dash 2 were tracking a gray whale mother and calf. Using modified active sonar pings to mimic
cetacean
calls, Dash 1 and Dash 2 spent the majority of their time finding and engaging in play-like activities with various whale species. The hulls of Dash 1 and Dash 2 regularly came into contact for prolonged periods while observing the animals. During a 7-month period spent in the Arctic, presumably searching for the bowhead whale, Dash 2 collided with an iceberg. Part of the iceberg penetrated Dash 2's outer hull and it was unable to free itself. Dash 1 spent several weeks towing Dash 2 and the iceberg into warmer waters until the iceberg had melted. Dash 2 remained afloat but was not subsequently observed moving faster than 10 knots. Addendum 1522-1. Event log of Incident 1522 Rho, taking place 60 kilometers northwest of Ullapool, Scotland in mid-2011. Forward. The following log is a composite account of eyewitness reports and video feeds taken from members of MTF Pi 2. SCP-1522-1 and SCP-1522-2 were following a pod of minke whales. Begin log. 11:51. Dash 1 curves around the bow of Dash 2, before briefly accelerating to 80 knots, creating a large wave which splashes several minke whales and causes Dash 2 to rock slightly. 11:54. Dash 2 comes up to the port side of Dash 1 and sounds its foghorn. They turn together in a southwesterly direction. 12:18. Both Dash 1 and Dash 2 come to a complete stop. No activity is registered from either ship for a period of 17 seconds. Dash 1 then focuses its weather surveillance radar on Dash 2 and sounds its foghorn 3 times in slow succession. 12:19. SCP's MINOS detects a RGM-84 Harpoon inbound on a bearing of 340. Vector indicates SCP-1522-2 as target. 12:20. Dash 2 sounds its foghorn 4 times and begin moving at 8 knots to touch its hull with that of Dash 1. Dash 1 and Dash 2 collide gently. SCP's MINOS detects a second RGM-84 Harpoon on a bearing of 340. 12:22. Dash 1 moves and turns to a bearing of 340. Dash 1 then accelerates to Mach 4, resulting in large plumes of steam and the creation of a bow wave of approximately 60 meters in height. Dash 1 vanishes over the horizon in 23 seconds. 12:23. Harpoon missiles hit Dash 2's starboard side. Dash 2's hull is ruptured and it begins to sink. All lights on Dash 2 go out. 12:26. Dash 1 is seen returning from the direction it previously left. Dash 1's foghorn is continually blaring. Dash 1 tries to prevent Dash 2 from taking on water by moving to Dash 2's starboard side. 12:28. As Dash 2 becomes completely submerged, numerous active sonar pings are detected, originating from Dash 1. Dash 1 begins a series of complex high-speed movements.
Resultant subsurface wave patterns create multiple zones of high pressure below -2 in an apparent effort by -1 to cause -2 to resurface. 12:30. -2 is no longer visible from the surface. -1 ceases all activity. 1600 hours. An MH-65C Dolphin helicopter is launched from SCPS Minos and approaches -1 for monitoring. No change in activity is reported. 1936. -1 lets out a sustained call from its foghorn. SCPS Minos sonar detects large rectangular masses detaching from -1, later found to be parts of -1's hull. -1 is fully submerged within 10 minutes. Addendum 1522-2. During the recovery and investigation of the two vessels, two small, partially formed, apparently non-anomalous rowing boats were recovered from within the hull of SCP-1522-2. These vessels were extracted from -2 and are currently stored in C2 at Site 6, Svalbard. Addendum 1522-3. Following the beaching of SCP-1522-1 and SCP-1522-2, an unclear humanoid figure was spotted near the wrecks. However, no such figure was detained. The note below was found on the bridges of SCP-1522-1 and SCP-1522-2. Why am I doing this video? Why? Why would I put myself or you through this? Let's move on to the next one. Except there is no next one, because that's 6. I can't count, apparently. Thank you so much for watching. The names you can see on screen right now are the co-producers, and following the co-producers are all the rest of the patrons. Thank you very much to all of you for supporting what I do. If you thought this was in any way entertaining, fun, or cool, please do all the, I don't know, YouTube things like subscribe and like and share it with a friend or something. And also consider checking out the Patreon, so you can join this list of names and also get like behind the scenes stuff for my ARGs and stuff, and also, allow me to eat dinner and stuff. That's, always cool. Again, all of my socials are down in the description, and leave a comment if you have anything to say. I'll read all of them and probably answer most of them. Cool. See you in the next one, hopefully. Bye-bye.